Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm for Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. Man, today's clip, we got a couple of videos from Simply Bitcoin and some Watcher Guru notifications or updates. So just kind of give you guys the gambit of everything circulating in the news. And like I mentioned in the previous video, this month is turning out to be quite bullish. So this one's interesting as well. Warren Buffett, he still thinks that Bitcoin is rat poison, but he's saying the quiet part out loud about basically that fiat is trash. I believe that's his quote, cash is trash, if I'm not mistaken. But listen to him talk about the basically inevitability of money, paper money, and the control systems in place.
And obviously, we wouldn't want to be owning anything that we thought was in a currency that was really going to hell. And that's the big thing we worry about with the United States currency. I mean, the tendency of a government to want to debase its currency over time is, there's no system that beats that. You can pick dictators, you can pick representatives, you can do anything. But the people, there will be a push toward weaker currencies. And of course, that is, I mentioned very briefly in the annual report that the fiscal policy is what scares me in the United States, because it's made the way it is, and all motivations are doing a lot of things will cause trouble with money. But that's not limited to the United States. It's all over the world, and some places it gets out of control regularly. As I know, they devalue.
So what he's saying is, Berkshire Hathaway, like, he's the longest probably seating CEO or whatever. I think he's still CEO of investment firm, hedge fund that we've ever had. And he's telling you that, yeah, even the U.S. policies is what scares him, because that is what's going to dictate the viability of his investments and how they perform. Now, of course, the government and these regulations are going to always do what's necessary to keep the wealth piled in to people like him and his companies. But with him saying this, it's like it should let you see, like, again, swim with the whales. He's letting you know, like, this is something to be concerned about. And he's like, in other countries, it's much, much worse. And like I was mentioning before, especially out here now in South America, you've seen, particularly the neighbor, I'm in Colombia, and their neighbor, Venezuela, they just experienced hyperinflation. Like, that country and economy is just, yeah, it's already kind of collapsed. It's trying to rebuild itself now, but it's still extremely bad. So hyperinflation is not something that only happened, way back in the day. And it doesn't mean that it's going to happen in the U.S. It doesn't mean that the U.S. is exempt. But other countries are definitely could be more easily on the chopping block, depending on where you live.
Rates that are breathtaking, and that's continued. I mean, people can study economics and you can have all kinds of arrangements, but in the end, if you've got people that control the currency, you can issue paper money, and you will, or you can engage in clipping currencies like they used to centuries ago. Or there will always be people. It's the nature of their job. I'm not singling them out as particularly evil or anything like that. The natural course of government is to make the currency worth less over time, and that's got important consequences. And it's very hard to build checks and balances into the system to keep that from happening.
It's impossible. I wouldn't say it's hard. It's literally impossible, because the problem is that you have humans who are flawed with their own agendas running that system. That is why Bitcoin has succeeded, will succeed, and is succeeding, because it's not run by humans. It's run by code, and that code is the law. Whenever you get people involved, they're going to have their own agendas, and they're fallible, and they can be corrupted. They can be persuaded. So it doesn't matter how great they are and holier than thou or high and mighty that they want to proclaim, we are flawed. So something inevitably will happen. Even if you have someone that comes in and has the greatest ideas and is super for the people, they're going to eventually pass away, and someone else less chivalrous and supportive will come into power. Like, essentially, someone will take over and just destroy the entire thing. So it doesn't matter what it is or who it is. So because of that, we need something that cannot be corrupted, something that is truth. And here's some updates from Watcher Guru. So I thought this was fascinating, man. Over this will be the last couple of days, you have Trump announcing trade deals, the repeal of tornado cash, Trump imposed tariffs on Japan, Ripple, Trump announcing tariffs on South Africa, Malaysia, and Kazakhstan, and then more tariffs on these countries. And during all this time, Bitcoin gave the middle finger to all this news. No longer is it phased by macroeconomic sanctions or tariffs or any of that stuff. So to me, what this represents is that there's enough people waking up to go, okay, screw what's happening with fiat. The only thing that I can be certain of is Bitcoin. So it's the market, Bitcoin market is not moving to this noise at all. Coming into it, and then less liquidity coming out. Because again, here's the alarm bells, and people are no longer selling the Bitcoin. It's staying flat. Before, Bitcoin used to be that smoke alarm, like Jack would say. And it's like, okay, something's about to break. People are getting out of Bitcoin because they want to get into something else. But now it's literally being that hedge. EU 10% tariff trade deal. House is taking historic steps to ensure U.S. remains the crypto capital of the world. This is more about getting rid of Powell. So like I said, if Bitcoin rallies like Rand was saying from Crypto Banner, just to get to that 200K range, just off of what's going on now, man, imagine what will happen. Like, there could be a dip for sure. So maybe in November, we dip down that 30, 40% I was talking about. But Powell is out next year, if not sooner. And Bessent could be in, or somebody else that will cut rates. And all that means is, like Ray has said, Rand Nooner and Raoul Powell, is that it would just be an extended cycle, because all that would happen is literally when the money printer kicks on next May, or if it's March, again, I can't remember when Bessent is out, then everything would just rally again. So I'm showing you all this, and just so that you can digest it and realize that we still have a lot more runway left on this plane. Like, Bitcoin is by far not dead in the water at all. And we're seeing it on mainstream. Real quick, I'll play this last clip from Anthony Pompliano. He's being interviewed about his new company, his treasury company he created with Bitcoin.
The ProCap made a significant institutional move, purchasing 3,700 Bitcoin at an average price of $103,000 just yesterday. And the question is, right, there's not a lot of Bitcoin left. I mean, it sounds like the Wild West right now. Where do you find this Bitcoin?
Yeah, so we own now 4,950 Bitcoin. Our goal is to buy as much Bitcoin as we possibly can. I like to think of now there's a new professional sport for Bitcoiners, which is who can acquire the most Bitcoin. And as much as we want to buy as much Bitcoin as possible, there's a lot of other companies that want to do this as well. And so to your point, what you're starting to see is you are starting to see OTC desks or maybe Bitcoin on exchanges. Those numbers are going down. And so naturally, price will have to readjust upwards because people don't want to sell their Bitcoin at $107,000, $108,000. This has been the story of Bitcoin for 15 years now. Bitcoin's price has got to go up to convince some people to sell to the new people who want to buy the Bitcoin.
And reference what Anthony just mentioned. Yep, you're seeing Bitcoin on exchanges, I think at all-time lows. What is this, 2023? Can we zoom out more than just a year? Let's refresh this. I thought it showed more than just 1 year. I guess it goes back to only 1 year. 2023, or 2 years. So either way, Bitcoin now sitting at, what's the exchange balance total? Here you go, 2.1 million. And the price just climbing higher. So the exchanges don't have much. I still personally believe there's definitely some paper Bitcoin going on with like some of these Bitcoin treasury companies, but there are more like Pompliano and like Strike and El Salvador that are showing their proof of reserves. Ledden with the Bitcoin borrowing. So there will be more and more people that are indeed taking their Bitcoin off the exchanges and self-custodying it. I already played that clip with Sailor. I don't quite understand or know the rules of how ETFs and securities have to be regulated or whatever that case may be. Like if that has to be custodied within an exchange, or can a company custody that? Like if you think about that logically, if that was gold bars or physical cash, I'm sure for corporations, there is some kind of legislation or rules that say you can't just keep $50 billion of someone trusted third party or whatever. So we don't know if it's paper Bitcoin or not, but the main TLDR is that there are more and more treasury companies, sovereign wealth funds, nation states, Fortune 500 companies, people buying and removing Bitcoin from exchanges. So it is going to be a supply shock and squeeze to the upside for Bitcoin inevitably. All right, so hope that gave you some positive insight looking forward on what to expect from Bitcoin. And hopefully, if you were bearish, maybe you're a little more optimistic. But either way, all you gotta do is zoom out in long enough time horizon, stay humble, stack sats, you'll be all right. All right, smash that HBO special, help a brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below. And until next time, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.